Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to do kind of a thought or a video on some perspective on collecting and why I do collect what I do collect. And I wanted to first start by saying I had this kind of was spurred on by some sad news that I had seen on Facebook the other day, and that is the unfortunate passing of one of my baseball card mentors, a gentleman by the name of Fred No. He passed away last week, and I was sad to hear that because he played a huge part in my collecting and I guess the story goes back in 1987. In that summer, he came down to live with his brother. He was a disabled Navy veteran, and his brother was in the Air Force and lived in Bellevue, Nebraska, stationed off at Air Force Base. And the brothers went to our church where my dad was a pastor. Fred knew and found out that I collected baseball cards, so he took an interest in kind of showing me some of the finer points of collecting. He took me to my first card show in that summer of 1987, and me being an 11-year-old with just a few meager dollars in my pocket, I was all about collecting the hype, and that for that time was this guy, this Corey Snyder. Here's his 87 tops. Was all the rage in the summer of 87. And he helped me go to pick out a couple of Corey Snyder Fleer cards. You know, this was my first baseball card show that I'd ever been to, and it kind of blew my mind, so to speak. You know, I was kind of in awe. But one thing Fred did, he took me to a couple of the vintage tables as well. And one of the cards that he introduced me to was not this particular card in the case, but this 73 Harmon Killebrew tops. And he showed me the importance of buying vintage baseball cards and what they were all about. So I only had a few dollars, so I think he might have actually helped me to purchase my first vintage card, which was a 73 Killebrew. Later on that fall, in the winter, January of '88 to be precise, him and his brother gave me their entire collection of baseball cards, of which this is one of them, this 75 Harmon Killebrew. You can imagine my joy to be granted their whole collection. Just tons and tons of vintage stuff, primarily late 70s, early 80s. Nobody in the neighborhood had this stuff, and I didn't, you know, it just blew my mind that he gave me all these wonderful cards here. Well loved, you can see, definitely not grade worthy, but it played a huge impact in what I would ultimately collect as an adult. You know, and it's no coincidence that you know, that a lot of these cards that I had as a kid in the poor grade, I now have in nice graded slabs. And I think part of me, even now, was hoping that, you know, that Fred would be able to go onto my YouTube channel at some point and see my collection, see how it's developed over the years, and kind of appreciate the road he put me on, because I truly believe that he played a huge part in me building my vintage collection that I have today, because of all the time and energy he put into showing me and teaching me about the vintage, about the history. Now behind me I have some cards that are more modern. I call this the hype, you know. And I guess that there's been some debate, or maybe some people would debate what's more important, collecting the hype or collecting the history. And I would argue that you have to have both. You know, just this morning I was checking out the news to see what Zion had done, how well he'd played last night, and that's fun. I mean, that's what gets people interested in the hobby. I enjoy looking at looking online to seeing how Mike Trout did, or Ronald Acuna, or Juan Soto, how they did. You know, especially with spring training and the season coming up. You know, that's going to be something I'm going to look forward to this summer. And I've been enjoying this basketball season, following some of the rookies and things like that. And just seeing the hype behind these products. And every one of these products I bought at my local Walmart. I didn't go online to pay, you know, 200% over the asking price. I haven't camped out at any stores. I've just been at Walmart at the right time, walking by, saw these on the shelf and pick them up. You know, I didn't clean out the Topps update. I didn't clean out the Prism. There was just a few of the Optic left that I did pick up. But I always left, you always leaves a little bit for somebody for the next collector. And fortunately, in the case of the Optic, somebody did that for me, and I grabbed the last couple boxes. But at the end of the day, I think that you can have both. You can have the hype and you can have the history. I don't think you should forget one or the other. I think the two play an important part in feeding off each other. What was the hype for me is now the history for somebody else. So, who knows, 20 years down the road, 30 down the road, somebody will say, man, yeah, that Zion from prison, man, that was an awesome card. I wish I was around back in the day to pick that off at the shelf at the Walmart. But that's something I was able to do. And maybe there'll be some 11-year-old kid in a couple years that I'll be able to help mentor and show, hey, you know what? Don't forget the old stuff. Don't forget the classics. It's important to be a mentor in people's lives, and it is important to share the knowledge that you have. I know there's some really good YouTubers on here that are really good at that, people that I enjoy listening to, talking to. So I just wanted to share that with you today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. It's a little different, but I just wanted to pay homage to my baseball card collecting mentor, and then just share that with you. But once again, everyone, I appreciate your posts and comments, and I'll talk to you again soon.